Boom! What it do, you guys? It is your boy Smith Speaker. I am your cleaning guide to cleaning business success. Here we talk about how to start and optimize and scale your remote cleaning business. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe to this channel. If you're a new, what? Not if you're a new subscriber, but because technically, I guess you can be a new subscriber. Nonetheless, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the video. If at the end of the video you feel like I gave you some value or I attempted to give you some value, feel free to like this video as well. Feel free to like this video as well. If you want to ask any questions, maybe if you just want to ask any questions or leave a comment in the comment section below as well. If you look at the detail section of this video, you can join our school community. Yes, our free school community. Feel free to join where we talk about anything remote cleaning business as well. Now, if you do have a question or would like to book a consultation as well, my calendar link will be in the bio as well, so you can book a one-on-one consultation. So once again, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't seen my previous video, go check out my previous videos. I do give a lot of value. I attempt to give a lot of value, and we are going to be going crazy this year. I'm looking to help a lot of people start a remote cleaning business. Now, once again, I said this in my previous video, I love the new setup I have. I feel like I got a new setup, more optimized. I can actually be able to type things and talk to you guys while I'm doing that. I can look at the laptop as well, so I can look and talk to you guys as well. It works out really perfect. So we are going to jump straight into the topic for today's video. So the topic for today's video, also, if you see me look left, you see me look right, I have two monitors as well. This is how I do it, where I can actually type some stuff and kind of take my notes that I prepare, because usually I like to prepare some notes when I'm going into these videos, so I have a general idea of what we'll be talking about today. So if you see me just look all different ways, laptops, screens, we got the whole thing, we got the whole shebang, the whole shabooyah. But yeah, so going back into it, right, today I'm going to talk about how to price your cleaning services. How to price your cleaning services without guessing. Now, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about two different ways to price your cleaning services, right? There's necessarily no wrong way, but what I'll do is I'm going to talk about the two ways as well. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of each way. The pros and cons of each way when it comes to pricing your cleaning services. So let's get to it. So as you can see above over here, there are two ways to price your cleaning services, right? You can price it based off the home features, right? Which is usually bedroom, bathroom, square footage. Or you can price it based off hourly pricing per cleaner, right? Which is usually, I guess, depending on how many hours will the cleaners actually be at the property, right? How many hours will it take for the cleaners to service the property? And then, there are different ways to kind of calculate that, right? If you have your CRM, you could put in, for example, one bedroom takes 30 minutes, one bathroom takes 30 minutes. So then a one bedroom, one bathroom would be an hour, but that won't obviously include living room and kitchen, and you can price that all in your CRM. But we're not gonna go into those fine details, right? In terms of like, well, how do you input it and go from this and go from that, right? I wanted to talk about these two and what are the pros and cons. What are the pros and cons of charging, whether it be based off the features, whether it be based off the hourly prices as well. So let's actually get into it, right? So there are some pros, and we're gonna put this right here. There are some pros that I want to identify. There are some pros that I want to identify when it comes to being able to charge by the feature, right? I'm going to spread this out so I can actually write some stuff. Okay, so we do have the pro of being able to charge your prices based off the home features, right? And so the first pro I'm going to put it is predictable revenue per job. Predictable revenue per job. So when you do it like that, right, you're charging based off the features. You know exactly before you even book, well, technically while you're booking, but even after you book or before the cleaner goes service the job, right? For the most part, you know exactly what you are going to be making from this booking. I'm not talking profit, right? That's obviously a different scenario, but you know the amount of revenue that you're going to be bringing in from this job, right? It is very predictable revenue because we already know that they have this many houses, this many bathrooms, this many square footage, the kitchen, the living room. we know exactly what we'll be making from this booking. Now, a lot of people, and it just depends on the type of entrepreneur you are, but a lot of businesses like predictable revenue. Like, we want to know that by the end of the month, what are we looking at making, right? At the start of the month, from previous clients where we have a reoccurring and clients that have already booked, what are we coming into the new month with, right? So it is very easy to forecast. It's very easy to create the forecast of the revenue that you will be creating, right? And that technically, it depends on you as an entrepreneur and you as a business, right? Some people like having those forecasts. A lot of businesses like knowing what are we going into this month, what will we be making this month, right? So the pro of pricing based on having the home features is being able to generate predictable revenues, right? Per job and overall for the month as well. Now, the reason I put per job, right, because obviously things can change. You can do partial refunds, or maybe you have to cancel an appointment, right? So technically, the monthly aspect of it may change, right? You may see that you're making 15,000 in the beginning of the month, but some people cancel, and that 15 turns to 12.5, right? Or 12.5 thousand. So, but we do know at least per job when we are taking on a job, we know exactly what we're going to be making, what we're going to be making. Now, the next thing I want to identify is this right here, right? This is another thing I put in my notes. It is easier to sell to customers. It is easier to sell to customers, right? And the reason that it's easier to sell to customers is because it is straightforward. And now, one of the hacks that a lot of people use is that when they're selling to customers and it's very straightforward, something that they may say is, hey, how long is the cleaning going to take? And from there, you can pretty much say, it's a flat price. So, the cleaning may take this 3 to 5 hours, but regardless of how long it takes, right? Regardless of how long it takes, you're good. There is going to be no increase on the price, no increase on the charge that will charge you. This is just a flat price. And to a lot of customers, that is going to be very attractive. To a lot of customers, that is going to be a very attractive thing. Knowing that once they pay this fee once, regardless of the condition of the home, right? Or regardless of the amount of time that it takes, they know that they're going to be just paying this one price. So it's easier to sell to customers when you're doing the pricing based off the home features, because at the end of the day, it's a flat price and there's clarification on what is being charged. There's clarification on what is being charged. Now, the third thing I want to identify when we talk about pricing based off home features is it is better for scaling. Yes, it is better for scaling. Sorry, forgive me, guys. It is better for scaling, right? And the reason I say that is because it's easier to train VAs when it comes to pricing, right? The VA doesn't have to sit there and calculate the home, not calculate the home, but calculate the amount of hours that a cleaner will take and this and that, and calculate a lot of extra things that you may have to calculate when it comes to hourly pricing. Is it impossible for them to do it? No. But when it comes to taking your CRM, which is the customer relationship management tool, if you don't know what that is, look back at some of the previous videos. I talk about that as well. It is easier to scale. It is easier to automate. Now, for example, right, even when it comes to booking on the website, when we're talking about booking on the websites, right, and you want your customer to be able to come to the website and simply book themselves. In all honesty, right, it is easier if a customer can go and just simply book themselves, right? It's easier that way because you don't have to worry about taking a call and doing all the explanations, right? It can be a quick automation where they book, they get the right text message, the cleaners get assigned to the cleaning, they head over to the property, right? So it is great for scaling, because now even if you have a bunch of traffic that is coming through and people are booking, you don't have to take a plethora of calls. And that also goes into the fact that this type of pricing is good for instant bookings, right? If you want to get a book under 60 seconds, right? We have many businesses, cleaning businesses, that say, hey, contact us, we'll get you a cleaning quote in under 2 minutes. This is how they can get a cleaning quote in under 2 minutes, because it's easier to do that, right? It's easy to say you have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, this amount of square footage, you maybe want these add-ons, here's your flat price. It's easy to be able to quote that. So these are the pros when it comes to being able to price based off the home features, right? Very predictable revenue per job, very straightforward pricing, right? So with the very straightforward pricing, not only do you know exactly what you're making for that job, but it's easy to sell to customers because they know exactly what they're paying for the job, regardless of how long it takes. Now, when it comes to scaling and taking more clients, it's better to be able to do this as well, because you'll be able to pretty much whip out quotes, right? And even if a customer goes and books on your website, it's easier for scaling, right? It's easier for scale because you can have, for example, and this is an example I'll give. Like, it's harder to be able to sit there and take 100 calls, and for your VAs to sit there and have to give 100 quotes versus 100 people just go to your website and book themselves. Whether they agree with the price or not, it's just easy, very straightforward, and you don't have to deal with that, right? Because think about it, if 100 calls is coming in, you may need multiple VAs to sit there and service all those calls, right? 100 people can book on your website at once. 100 people can't all call unless you have enough people to be able to service 100 people, right? You have enough VAs to be able to service enough people. So it is better for scaling. It is better for scaling. So if you want, you take a picture of this, write this down in your notes. Whenever I'm here teaching something, I try to make sure that people are taking notes as well, because we're usually talking about a lot of good game here. But let's talk about the cons, right? What are the cons? What are the cons of being able to, well, what are the cons of doing the home feature pricing? We could call it the home feature pricing model. What are the cons of doing the home feature pricing model? I'm going to talk about that now, right? So the only, well, it's not the only con, but right, there's I would say right here in my notes, right, I have two cons, but I want to really talk about the main one right here that I think when I was really getting ready for this YouTube video that stood out to me for the most part, right? And I'm going to put it right here. The risk of underpricing dirty homes. This is a big con. This is a big con. The reason this is a big con is because when you're charging based off the features, right? A home could be really dirty, right? A lot of times, let's say, even if you're paying your subcontractor or cleaner an hourly price or a flat price, right? And that obviously is a whole nother conversation that I will do a video on, how to pay your cleaners and the pros and cons of that as well. Understand that when you charge this flat price with unlimited time, they may have a dirty home, and it may take longer for your cleaner to clean that property. One of two things happens. Your subcontractor either tells you, well, hey, the property is in worse condition than we expected, or than we both talked about, we're going to have to charge you more. Especially because it's unexpected, you could see somewhat of an upcharge on that, right? Or with W-2 employees, it takes longer hours. And so now it makes it changes the predictable revenue aspect a bit, right? Because you can predict the revenue where you say, hey, we're going to make $250 from this cleaning, right? So it's still going to be $250, but now when we're talking about the profit margins after having to pay the cleaners, let's say you're expecting to make 50% off of it. So let's say you expect to make $125, but a cleaner charges you an extra $50 to $70, or they take an extra 2 to 3 hours. That $125 could turn into $70, $80, right? And so this is the biggest thing. I'm gonna add the second one. I think the second one right here, and that it will. Actually, sorry, I don't want to say before. This is the only thing I got to figure out with this. Sorry, guys. No worries. I want to still actually be able to. So the other con is that it requires a good estimating system. So I have to kind of get going with that, right? So it requires a good estimating system as well. So one, we have the fact that you may underprice, right? You may underprice the property, right? Because you're giving the flat pricing, but the actual property is a lot dirtier than they expected. They may not have really told you that it was really dirty. So then from there, you're giving this price, but it's going to take a longer time for your cleaner to get the property done. The second thing is requires a good estimating system. So obviously, you do have the Booking Koala, for example, the CRM that can help you estimate, but that's even if you're running that type of foundational remote cleaning business, in which we teach you how to do. We teach you how to run that. This channel teaches you what you need to be able to do that. Now, if we're talking about a cleaning company that doesn't have that type of system, imagine trying to be able to price and do the bedroom, bathroom, square footage, and all of this, and you don't even have a good system, right? You don't have a good system, so now you're giving a price based off the home, but you don't know how dirty the home is, and your system could be flawed depending on, the property, right? Because you have to remember, a 3-2 1,200 square feet is different than a 3-2 1,800 square feet, right? And so you want your system to be able to reflect the differences in the size of those properties. So if you don't have the right, system to be able to do this, then we could find a problem in pricing, right? And so we won't go necessarily into outweighing like the pros and the cons, right? That's kind of what I want you guys to figure out, like what works for you, right? And before we even go into that, let's talk about this hourly cleaning, right? So we talked about the pricing based on the home features. We talked about the pricing based on the home features. Now let's talk about the actual hourly pricing. So what are some pros of the hourly pricing? And so this kind of is a solution. You could technically say this is technically a solution to the actual con for the home features. Let's add this here. So I really like this whiteboard because before, when I had my iPad, it used to get a lot of feedback. Now I don't get too much feedback. You don't lose on dirty homes. Actually, let me add. It's cool. You don't lose on dirty homes, right? The good thing with hourly is if someone's home is dirty, let's say it is really dirty, at that point you make you're not losing on that property because you're only there as long as it takes to clean the property. So the dirtier the home, the longer it's gonna take to clean the property. So at this point, it's a little harder to underprice because we're billing per hour. If your home is dirty, we are going to get our money, right? The longer it takes, the more money you make. The longer it takes, the more money that you make, right? And so we're winning off that, right? Because at this point, we're going to be able to, if the home is dirty, we end up making more money. If the home is dirty, we end up making more money. So that is a good pro that technically is a solution for the home features based pricing, right? Where if you risk underpricing the customer versus hourly pricing, regardless of how dirty the home is, we will continue to make money. So it doesn't really matter at that end. If anything, it's kind of a good thing for you, right? Now, the second thing I want to talk about is it's a lot of times it's a little simpler for new business owners. If you're owning a cleaning company, right, you may not know the value of a kitchen or a bedroom or a bathroom, right? So as when you're creating this pricing system in your CRM, sometimes it's hard to say, like, what is a bedroom worth? What is a bathroom worth, right? And so because you may not know that, it's easily just to say, you know what, we're just going to charge hourly. Regardless of what it's worth, we're just charging hourly, and it's easy to price that way, right? It's easy to be able to say, hey, we just do it per hour, depending on the property size, or not depending on the property size, but depending on the condition of the property and the property size too, right? Those also do play a factor, but depending on the property size, the condition of the property, obviously we charge hourly. So regardless of obviously what the condition is, you're just able to simply say, hey, it's $50 per hour, and we'll send this many cleaners, right? Or $25 per hour and per cleaner as well, right? Or $10 or $15, whatever you get your hourly price for your cleaners. So I've noticed that it's easier for a lot of newer business owners, especially within the cleaning industry, just to charge by hour because at that point I don't really need to know how many bedrooms and bathrooms, or I don't really need to know how dirty or how crazy the house is. As long as I'm there cleaning, I'm charging you per hour, right? Now, another pro as well, another pro for charging hourly, and this is a pretty good pro as well. So, okay, perfect. It is flexible for custom jobs, right? So let's say that a client only wants maybe certain rooms done, right? They may only want certain rooms done, or let's say it's a post construction clean, or you have a client that hoards a lot of stuff, right? You can tailor the cleaning simply you can tailor the price simply based off being hourly, right? Like, and what I mean by that is, instead of seeing it sitting here and say, okay, I'm charging you a flat price. Okay, how do I include hoarding? Okay, it doesn't matter if you're a hoarder. It doesn't matter if it's post construction. I'm simply only charging you for how long I'm gonna be here. So it kind of allows for flexibility of custom jobs, right? You can be flexible with those type of jobs. If someone says, "Hey, I only want 2 bedrooms and a bathroom," even though I have a 4-4, then well, that's okay. All right, charge you hourly, so it's just not gonna be as much money as it would be if I would do all the rooms and all the bathrooms, right? So it's allowed for flexible. It allows for flexibility with custom jobs. It allows for flexibility with custom jobs. So these are the pros here. These are really good pros as well, and that's why. And at the end of this, I'm gonna reiterate, like, there's no such thing as a good or bad thing, right? You have to figure out at the end of the day what kind of works for you, and kind of just go based off of that, right? Just because you're a new business owner doesn't mean that you have to do hourly, right? And just because you've been in the game, you maybe got some skin in the game as well, doesn't mean that you also have to do a flat price, right? It's kind of just whatever you think makes sense for your business model. So whatever makes sense for your business model. So now, what are some of the some of the cons actually of running the hourly pricing model? What are some of the cons of the hourly pricing model? Customers hate uncertainty. Now, hate is a bit of a strong word, right? So you know what? Let me actually, I don't want to say hate. We're gonna say customers dislike. Customers dislike uncertainty, right? And what I mean by that is, when you're charging hourly, a customer doesn't know what they're being billed for by the end of the cleaning. And the problem with that is, when a customer doesn't know what they're technically being billed for, there's a fear that comes with not knowing if someone is gonna hit you with a hefty bill. And so it's one thing to know up front that I'm paying $400. It's one thing to expect maybe 250, 300, and now they're taking a lot of time. I'm looking at my watch like, hey, they're still here, they're still here. They're like, hey, how long is the cleaning going to be here for? I'm being billed hourly. And so now the customer is uncomfortable and dislikes the fact that she doesn't know what her bill is going to be at the end, right? And so now she's maybe rushing the cleaner, or something is going on, right? So one of the major cons is the customers don't like this uncertainty. Customers don't like that, hey, they don't know to the end of the cleaning session what they're going to be billed, right? And so it can become a problem as well when a customer may not know what they're being billed at the end of their cleaning session. So the second thing I want to talk about here that I put down here is penalizing it penalizes efficiency. What does that mean? Look, the honest truth is, not every cleaner is going to be a good apple, right? And so what will tend to happen is you'll have a situation in which, if a cleaner knows that you're charging hourly, right, and that because you're charging hourly, that they're being billed hourly as well, right? What they'll sometimes do is they'll slow down and won't be as efficient to burn more time, because the more time they take, the more money they make. You hear that? I love that when it rhymes. The more time they take, the more money they make, right? And so what happens is it starts to penalize, or it starts to affect the efficiency with the cleaner. Within the cleaner company, obviously we want to price a good price. We want to give a good cleaning, right? But also paired with a good cleaning or good service that we want to offer, we want to also offer efficiency. No client wants a cleaner there forever, right? No client wants a cleaner there till dinner time. So what tends to happen is they will stay there a little bit longer just to simply make more money, right? And so we find a situation in which it kind of disrupts the efficiency when it comes to the cleaning. It disrupts the efficiency when it comes to the cleaning, right? And so what we want to do is we want to technically avoid that. Now, is that every cleaner? No, right? That's the question of whether it's the exception or the rule, but it is something that does happen, and I would be wrong to not acknowledge that that is a true con of being able to run the hourly, or running the hourly pricing model. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is scalability. It is a bit harder to scale when you're running the hourly pricing model. It's harder to do instant quotes. It's harder to be able to actually have a client just come to your website and book, right? It is a bit harder. It can be done, right? It can be done, but the honest truth is you can't sit there and, for example, have a client book a 3-3, right? And you say, hey, it's gonna take 3 hours. But once again, you not only you're risking of underpricing dirty homes. And on top of that, not only are you risking of underpricing a dirty home, it's different when it's like, okay, it's a flat price, right? Because at that point, I could do a price increase, right? Let's say it's 250, but the home is really dirty. I could do an upcharge of 50 to $100. How do you upcharge an hourly cleaning, right? And technically, you can just simply say, hey, we're gonna upcharge you 50 to $100. But what happens when you upcharge a flat price while actually sitting there and telling the client that we charge hourly? So it doesn't look copacetic, right? It looks a little discombobulated, right? And it looks like you're not telling the truth about the type of services that you offer or the pricing or your pricing model, right? It looks like your pricing model is not truthful. It could just cause a whole bunch of issues. So what we notice is that it's harder to scale this online, right? This may work a little better if you're doing kind of everything in person or on ground, which is why I said there's no such thing with this as a bad or good, but just kind of what works for your business. It will become a little bit harder to scale this online. And so if you're looking to scale your business online, this is something that you're going to have to pay attention to, right? And the fact is that we talk about remote cleaning business model and remote being online, you are going to need to take this into consideration. You're going to need to take this, I guess I'm trying to see which way to point, but you're going to need to take it into consideration, right? So these are the pros and the cons when it comes to the different type of pricing, how to price your cleaning service without guessing, right? And so technically, hourly pricing is not necessarily guessing because you're straightforward, but it is a form of guessing. Well, both of them, if you're being honest, have a form of guessing, right? Because with hourly pricing, the cleaner may take longer than, you expect, right? So with hourly pricing, there is a potential for a form of guessing over there. And even this as well with the home features, right? You don't know if you're underpricing a dirty home, right? And so that is a bit of a guessing game as well. And there are ways to go around that. If you are looking for ways to get around that, like I said, feel free to go into the details of this video and book a one-on-one consultation as well. And we can talk about that, whether you're in the stage of starting your remote cleaning business or whether you're already there, you just need a way to be able to do it. We can always talk about that as well. But these are the two types of pricing, right? And I wanted to just talk about the pros and cons. I'll let you take a picture before I get back to it. Perfect. So I wanted to talk about the pros and cons, like I said, and I think it is very important that we address, the pros and cons of both. Because I can say, hey, you should price flat price, or I can say, hey, you should, price hourly. But I do need to address some of the pros and cons that you will, run into when you're doing these pricings. So ultimately, it is up to you to decide what works best for you. Maybe you're new in the game and you want to do the hourly pricing, or maybe you want to completely switch over to home feature, or maybe you started home feature, but you feel like you've been underpriced so much that it's better to go to hourly. It's whatever works for your business model. Once again, I want to say thank you for joining this video. If you are new to this channel, please do not forget to subscribe. Once again, if you felt like I gave you some value, or if you felt like I attempted to add value to this video, right, just click the like button. If you have any comments, be sure to comment in the comment section as well. Once again, the detail of this video is our school community, where we talk about remote cleaning business, right? Anything remote cleaning business. As well, if you go to the calendar link, you can book a one-on-one consultation. Once again, we are dropping videos 2 times a week, every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. We are looking to see you again. Sorry, I had a brain fart because I was thinking, I wonder if I should drop videos at a different time. That's another comment you could put on. If you think there's a better time to drop videos, I usually do 6 p.m. because I know people are usually off work or getting home around that time. But 6 p.m. is usually when we drop these videos. But once again, thank you for being here. Like I said, if you haven't been here or you are new to the channel, be sure to watch the previous videos as well. And if you are not new to this channel and you still haven't watched the previous videos, be sure to watch those previous videos as well. I will see you on the next video. Peace.